Criminal Justice Chair for the state, and I have so for the last 2 years. And my leader and mentor is going to greet us today on, in his own way. His topic is, if we ever need to vote, we sure do need to vote now, but I'm sure he'll have some other tidbits of information to tell us. So without further ado, help me welcome to the stage the President of the State Council branch of the NAACP, Dr. William Barber.
Good morning. Let me first just say how glad I am to welcome all of you to Rebuilding Broken Places Community Development Center, which is a vision and an outgrowth excuse me, of Greenleaf Christian Church, which is more than 120-year-old congregation across the street. Let me ask Fran and any of the staff members here who will make sure you have a tremendous day. Our program coordinator, Ms. Fran Smith, and John Barnes, who's our executive director. We started this journey with God about 16 years ago. This was an old abandoned facility that they were planning on actually turning into a alcohol serving nudity bar right in the middle of the heart of this community. And our congregation decided that we could do better than that. We had to do better than that. And so a little country church, we invested $1.5 million of our own dollars. We spent every dime we had in the budget, and for 6 months, the only money our church had was the money that came in on Sunday morning, and we made an initial investment to buy this property. It took a while to work together and build some things together, but we believed that we could, in fact, rebuild broken places. 16 years later, we built 62 homes, 62 homes, single-family homes, not rental houses in this community. We built this facility that houses our preschool and houses computer training and job training programs. We've built a senior citizen complex for 41 senior citizens that never have to pay more than 15% of their income in order to have a decent place, a high-quality place to live. And in essence, in less than a mile and a half, we built about $12 million of community development right here in this community. So we're so thankful that you're here. Around this wall, you see what we call the Wall of First. There is no place in this city where many African Americans who were the first to do things, the first African American teacher, the first African American principal, the first African American fire, their pictures are even listed. And so as you're here today, you go around and see this wall, and it gives a pictorial history of some of the things that have happened here in Goldsboro, Wayne County, in our state. I see my good friend the sheriff who's here this morning. I'm glad he's not here to arrest me. Is that the sheriff? Is that? Okay, I'll make sure. But we thank God for him as well, and everybody who's here. Let me say, we are tremendously, enthusiastically happy to support the Community Success Initiative. This event is being sponsored here statewide. You all are from all over the state. And some years ago when I met Dennis, one of the things that he had, in fact, let me stop a minute. We also have folk here from Stop the Funeral. Raise your hand if you're for that. We have a group called Stop the Funeral. Just stand up. These are brothers and sisters. Raise your hand. Y'all stand up. I need to see you. Yeah, come on. Because every year we work with drug dealers and gangbangers every year, trying to get them to turn around their lives. Actually, the sheriff and the DA allow us to quarantine this space. They don't come in here, they don't arrest anybody for 3 days. And we've actually seen that 61% of the brothers and sisters we work with turn around. And we're excited about that, and I see members of Stop the Funeral here. As a part of that, we met Dennis some years ago, and I'll talk about him a little bit, and he asked me to come and speak to a similar conference. I believe it was in Chapel Hill. And if you ever get a chance to read a particular scriptures in the book of Judges, and look up or Google or look in your Bible concordance, the word Tob, the land of Tob. The first conference I went to, I said to Dennis, he asked me about coming as a minister, and I said, well, I don't know how a minister could not come to a conference focusing on re-entry. And that is because as far back as the Old Testament in Jewish theology, when the tribes of Israel were set up, it was by the design of God that a parcel of land be set up for those who had fallen, who had done wrong, where they would have a second chance. I mean, Israel understood itself as having to have a place of safety, a place where folk would not remember so much what you have done, but would look forward to who you could be. And in the book of Judges, there was a man, Jephthah, who was actually expelled from his community. The Bible says his mother was a whore, a prostitute, and his brothers didn't like him, so they expelled him. And they sent him to the land of Tob. And the land of Tob was where all the people who had records were. It's in the Bible, check it out. It was where all the people who had convictions. It's where all the people who were thought to be, their lives to be over. And Jephthah was sent there. And a few years later, Israel was attacked by the enemy. And they could not handle the enemy. And somebody said, what about the brothers and sisters, brothers in the land of Tob? And they sent word to Jephthah. And Jephthah organized all of the throwaways. Jephthah organized all of the people that had records. Jephthah organized all of the people who other folk felt because they had done wrong, sometimes deliberately and sometimes mistakenly, that their lives were over. And it was those men from the land of Tob that saved the nation. And I raised at the first conference that Dennis invited me to, what if in reality, especially to those in law enforcement and those of us working in community, when we talk about the drug problem, when we talk about the problem with guns, when we talk about violence, what if the deliverance from those things are not those of us that have never been in trouble? What if the only hope is to organize those who have been in the land of Tob? And so that's what I see this conference as. That not just re-entering, getting a new job, not just you re-entering and learning a skill, but you re-entering the society, and people re-entering the society as agents of deliverance, as agents of transformation, as brothers and sisters who know how to go places some other folk may not be able to go, as brothers and sisters who understand and can say to people that a second and a third and a fourth chance is possible because you walk that walk and because you live that life. And so here at Rebuild in Broken Places, we're glad to welcome either those of you who work with those in the land of Tob or those of you who've been in the land of Tob. And for those who've been in the land of Tob that are re-entering, that are here at this place or may hear by film, there are a few of us that recognize that you are not so much America's problems, but you may very well be America's salvation. In any church or mosque or temple or community place that does not cut open space for your voices to be heard, it does not cut open space and open up space for your insights to be given, and does not honor the wisdom that you have learned from having been in the place of Tob. Any place of faith or community development that does not recognize that there are times when somebody meant something for evil, but God turned it to good. Anybody that does not recognize that is actually not operating in the Spirit of God. I've said to Greenleaf on a number of occasions this year that my ultimate goal is not to find out how many pretty robes I can wear. Bible actually says, be careful of folk that run all them long roads and big rings. And I'm not even interested anymore in how I've proven to folk I can preach. This is one thing I'm interested in. Send me all the folk nobody else wants. Because every time I read, wherever God goes to toll, or wherever God goes out on a garbage dump like he did on Golgotha with Jesus, resurrection always occurs. And transformation is somewhere close in the way. So let me welcome you in that way. Let me say about my friend Dennis Gadd. I had one of the greatest privileges of my life a few weeks ago. He don't want me to say it, and he didn't ask me. I was asked to travel to the United Nations. The NAACP went to the United Nations to put the world on notice about how America was treating former felons and people with records in terms of the disenfranchisement in voting. I serve now not only as the president of the state conference, but as the chair of political action for the national NAACP. And just as a side note, by the way, we just got a report Saturday that in 4 months, the staff and the committee we work with has registered 450,000 people in county, new registered voters. And we now have access to over 1.5 million voters new in our network. And this is, and we are ahead of any other nonprofit organization in the country in terms of that kind of registration. So I got this invitation, and I told them, I said, number one, I was honored to go, and I asked the question, is there anybody I could take? And they said, yeah, you can bring somebody. And I said, well, I got better than that. I don't even want to go. I can't go, but I want to recommend that Dennis Gadd go. And I want you to know that a few weeks ago, so y'all know, you know who you're dealing with up here, and how God can move you from the land of toll. And a brother who spent time in incarceration for whatever reasons, a brother who has a blight on his record as far as man is concerned, about a month ago, representing all of you, representing the national NAACP, was taken by special delegation to present and talk about felony disenfranchisement before the UN Council in Geneva, Switzerland. I think we ought to give him a hand. That's pretty heavy stuff, you know. Amen. Pretty good for coming out of the land of told, you know. And thank God for who come out can walk among kings, but not lose the common touch. Let me close here.